Oh, let me dead in my eyes, yeah. Till the day that I die, yeah. I just wanna feel alive. With you, I'm alive. Try to trust my something. I didn't know what I was looking for. Till I found her. Talking about that love that makes sense. I was stressed. From many miles, trying to find love from a woman that would love me and never leave my side. And I run for many miles, trying to get away from the things I'm afraid of and everything. You say that we're already done, but what does that even mean? Tell me to open my eyes. They got it was just a dream. I guess that's how you know that it's love. When you're scared to death to leave. You say that you never leave, baby. Oh, me go. Let me dead in my eyes, yeah. Till the day that I die, yeah. I just wanna feel alive with you. With you, I'm a.
Thank you, Wes. That was beautiful.
Try to trust my.
Thank you all for coming. My name is Tilly Soldier. I'm the associate dean for the Haub School. I have a joint appointment with the College of Law where I co-direct the Gina Guy Center for Land and Water Law. With me on the stage is my good friend and colleague, Chad, with the Bow-Routt. We are delighted to see you. This in 2023, we're finally successful. National office to bring an initial group of stakeholders from across the globe together to help us brainstorm what we might accomplish at this conference and what topics we should talk about. And so we are very grateful to their help, and with their help, we settled on the 4 themes for this conference, which are indigenous and local communities, human-wildlife coexistence, transboundary collaboration, and change. And all of this is set within the context of managing wildlife in large landscapes. And at this conference, we're going to use the Greater Yellowstone Ecosystem as our touchstone landscape. And so throughout the conference, you'll see a Greater Yellowstone Ecosystem expert, followed by an international expert. And the goal of this conference is really to have an exchange, to learn from one another, to have this opportunity for bilateral learning. So I hope as you're joining us in the audience today, you're able to take something away from speakers from other parts of the world and have it inspire you and maybe help you as you are addressing wildlife conservation wherever you may be. I think I'll turn it over to Jake. The one thing I did want to mention is that hopefully when you checked in, you all had a chance to pick up a copy of the Western Confluence magazine. This is the Haub Schools magazine that's expertly edited by Birch Malotki. And the version that we offered to all of you is on the theme of international or global wildlife conservation and is intended to sort of be a prequel to this conference. So if you didn't get a copy, please do. There's some really great articles in there as well. So Jake, I'll turn it over to you.
Well, thank you all for being here. This wouldn't be possible without the incredibly generous sponsorships that we've received to pull this event off, as well as the core organizing group that traveled from really every corner of the world to ideate and organize and dream up this special event. So I'd like to thank them all one by one here. Firstly, thank you to the University of Wyoming Haub School of Environment and Natural Resources. Thank you, John. Grand Teton Association and Yellowstone Forever, thank you both. The Ricketts Conservation Foundation, our friends at PERC and the Knobloch Family Foundation, thank you all. the American Bar Association, the Foundation for Natural Resources and Energy Law, UC Berkeley Stone Center for Environmental Stewardship, Jackson Hole Travel and Tourism Board, the Jackson Fork Ranch. Thank you all. Greater Yellowstone Coalition, the Gina Guy Center for Land and Water Law, Whitney McMillan Private Land Stewardship Program, the Draper Natural History Museum, the Buffalo Bill Center of the West, Wyoming's Nature Conservancy, the University of Wyoming J. Kemmerer Worth Institute, the Wildlife Fund, the UW Great West Jean Monnet Chair, EcoTour Adventures, and the Pew Charitable Trusts. So thank you very much to all of our sponsors. And finally, this idea does go back 5 years, and a really special core group, many of which are with us today, dreamt it up. But actually bringing a dream into action takes a lot of leadership and a lot of work, and 5 years of work at that. And I can't speak more highly about my colleague Temple Stollinger for her steadfastness, her leadership, drive and compassion to leverage not just her tremendous professional network, but networks of networks. It takes incredible organization and reach, and time and commitment, a lot of which is unsung, to pull off this kind of event. So we're grateful for Temple. We're grateful for our organizers. A quick story about Temple. Just a few days ago, as we started to view that a shutdown might happen, Temple emails me and says, let's talk about contingencies. Let's talk about backup plans. We have some keynote speakers here that are feds. Can you meet at 45 minutes from now? I said, sure, I'll be over. By the time I got to Temple's office, she had ideal backups, all the contingencies in place. She said, what do you think? And I said, I think this is perfect. I think you've already done it. And that kind of detail and organization is why we're so grateful to have Temple as one of our leaders in the Haub School and our administration, but also why we're grateful for her organizing 5 continents of representation here in remote Jackson Hole today. So thank you, Temple.
Just a couple of housekeeping items. If you scan the QR code on the tabletop on your table, unfortunately, both links take you to the agenda. But if you want to check out the website, you can see the speaker bios are posted there as well. For the lawyers in the room, we have 12.75 hours of CLE credit approved in Wyoming. So you'll need to go online and claim those if you want them. I know I do. And it's my pleasure to now turn it over to John Kaprowski, who is the Dean of the Haub School of Environment and Natural Resources, and Rebecca Watson, who is the Chair of the Board of the Haub School of Environment and Natural Resources, to say a bit more about the Haub School. So John and Rebecca, thank you.
So much. Let's have another hand for Jake as well as Temple. We need to get some energy in this room. Are you ready? Okay. Oh, wow. That's great. There's been enough caffeine going around. That's excellent. But more caffeine in the back. I'm John Kaprowski. I'm Dean of the Haub School of Environment. I joined in 2020 as the Dean after 20 years at the University of Arizona. It's been a great pleasure. And what really drew me here was a unit at a university that understood the need for connections. We were put in place 30 years ago to really connect kind of the traditional silos. You have the college of this and the college of that. Sometimes they talk together, but we know that anything we do in management and conservation is really requires that appreciation and perspective, the ability to listen, the ability to connect. That's what this conference is all about as well. We have people from around the globe, from all parts of the U.S., the Western U.S., and all corners of the rectangle of Wyoming. And Wyoming's just an excellent state. For those of you who haven't had a chance to get out and explore a little bit, it is an excellent state to think about large landscapes. Sometimes we take those for granted, I think. And that's what this conference is about, making sure that we're working together in the way that the Haub School works together to continue to move things forward. And so when we think of kind of the roadmap of what the future will hold, it is collaboration, it is sharing amongst regions of the state, of the country, of the world. And so thank you so much for all the time and effort you've put together to come here and participate. And when we think about those kind of large landscapes, one of my favorite quotes comes from Aldo Leopold. And I'm going to read this, although I think I could do it from memory, but he's just so wonderful with his words. And it's such a poignant saying, I think, for today. To those devoid of imagination, a blank place on a map is a useless waste. To others, the most valuable part. We're going to talk about those connections on the map and how we can retain those, how we can maximize the value of those over the next couple of days. So I'm happy on behalf of the Haub School to be here, appreciative of your efforts to come and make this truly an international collaborative opportunity, and want to introduce Rebecca Watson, who's the chair of our advisory board in the Haub School of Environment and Natural Resources. Rebecca.
Thanks, John. He's a little taller. Good morning, everyone. I'm Rebecca Watson, and I'm happy to live in the Greater Yellowstone Ecosystem. I live in Cody, Wyoming, just off the east side of the boundary of the park. A couple of weeks ago, the Haub board met in Laramie at our fall meeting, and we reflected on our founders. The first administrator of the U.S. Environmental Protection Agency, William Ruckelshaus, and Wyoming's own U.S. Senator Al Simpson. They had a vision for the Haub School. And at that time, when they founded it in the early 90s, it was just an institute. And their thought was they wanted to advance effective decision-making on environmental and natural resource issues by promoting and assisting collaborative, informed approaches that sustain both the economy and the environment. So the idea of education, the environment, and economy as going together, I think is something we saw beautifully illustrated last night by our speakers, the Black Mambas. You can envision them going out to protect the environment at dawn and dusk. These ladies with no arms, with lions and rhinos and poachers. And they're out there protecting the environment, but they don't stop there. They take into account the economics that drive poaching, and they address that problem. And then they educate. They educate the bush babies and the grannies and hope to sustain that environmental protection into the future by taking that three-part approach. So today, the Haub School continues that mission of education, the environment, and the economy. And we educate our leaders of the future at the Haub School. And we also foster these kind of collaborative dialogues on environment and the natural resources. And like John, I'm really proud to support this international conference of thought leaders around these important issues of landscape, migration corridors, and how we coexist with wildlife in a way that sustains us both. So today I look forward to hearing from all of you. And with that, I turn it over to John.